thank you very much for joining us. It's been a busy day. What do you make of what has transpired in terms of the leadership role? And do you think that Congresswoman Stefanik is a given to take over that role?
I do think she's a given. The tweet you read just now is accurate. Chip Roy has come out in just the last few hours and announced that he's putting himself forward. One of the problems of those who had issues with Elise were that no one had really stepped forward to run against her. So they were being critical, but no one really seemed to have the nerve to put their name down. So it seems as if Chip Roy is that candidate. I don't know if there'll be anyone else, but the vote will be on Friday morning, and there'll be a brief forum within the caucus where candidates can answer questions and talk about it. And then we'll have the vote Friday morning around 9 a.m. Eastern, and it should be done. I suspect Elise will win. She has the support of a majority of the caucus. A lot of the concerns that you all just spoke of are concerns that I believe are put to bed with President Trump's full endorsement of Elise Stefanik. Like President Trump, Elise was from New York at a time when New York hasn't always been a super conservative place. Elise has represented her district in a more moderate way because her district is more moderate, but she realizes that as conference chair, she'll be a leader of the whole conference. And so she'll be putting all of us before herself, which is something Liz Cheney never did. Liz also didn't represent her district. Her district is the entire state of Wyoming, who was very much for President Trump, and yet she supported impeachment and drug us back to the past over and over again. She talked about former President Trump and how we shouldn't be drug into the past by a former president. But Liz Cheney is the one who couldn't move on from January, and she kept talking about it. She kept giving the middle finger every day to President Trump. And if she doesn't like him, that's fine. She could just talk about something else, like Mitch McConnell seems to be able to successfully do. We all know Mitch McConnell doesn't care for President Trump, but he doesn't stick a stick in his eye every single day. Mitch McConnell is talking about winning back the majority, just like Elise Stefanik and Kevin McCarthy and the rest of us are. We want to take back the House in the next cycle, and Liz Cheney hasn't really discussed that at all in the last few months.
Congressman, where is your district in Texas, and how are you being affected by what's going on down at the border?
My district is about an 8-hour drive north of the border. I go from eastern Dallas all the way into East Texas. And we've had illegal immigrants, truckloads, just been unloaded in my district, which is very far from the border, considering how big Texas is. So if it's that bad where I live, it's really bad actually on the border. We've had an expansion of illegal immigration. This White House doesn't want to talk about it. And really all this talk about Liz Cheney is a dream come true for the Biden administration, because every day we're talking about Liz or anything besides the border crisis is one more day that the Biden administration doesn't have to act. And they would love nothing more than the news cycle to be consumed with Republican infighting, which is why it was so important to put this behind us today. Let's move forward after Friday. Let's come together. Let's stop talking about things that are bringing us down. Let's start talking about things we want to change in the next Congress, which is enforcing border laws and ensuring that our country is taken back from the socialist Democrats that are taking us in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and I did want to ask you one more question, though, about the illegal immigration, because these numbers that came out today, if people at home hear them, I mean, they're startling to say the least.
Right.
When you talk about the number of people stopped at the border, the highest number in 21 years, an increase of, what, 944%? So how concerned should folks all over this country be, because we know that it crosses over the border and then spreads out?
They should be terrified. And I actually believe Joe Biden deep down is terrified because he knows he's going to lose the House next cycle because of this. And this White House, they are scared to death because they know the American people are upset about this. And since they don't seem to want to do anything about it, or they're perhaps afraid to because of their far left base, their only other option is to talk about something else and hope that while the problem may not go away, people will stop talking about it, which is why it's so important for conservative news outlets to cover this and the American people to continue to be aware of how bad things really are, because they are getting worse. This administration is doing nothing about it, and we've got to continue to put the pressure on them.
Congressman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Congressman Lance Gooden.